Hi guys, and welcome to this mini update video for Dragon Age Inquisition, covering the latest sprint review day held at Bioware last week on Thursday the 13th of March. Now, just as a quick sort of primer on what a sprint review is, just in general in case some of you might not be familiar. A sprint review involves everybody in a company working on a software product, such as this game, to review and demo all what they've done during the last sort of sprint working period. So they work for a set period, they bring everything back and everyone can see what the progress on the product is, what everyone's having a problem with, new stuff, updates, that sort of thing, to the period of 2 weeks or a month typically. So this may get more regular, they may get more detailed, either or both as we approach release and things. Now, mainly what I'm taking this off the information for the day was tweeted live by producer Cameron Lee at Bioware. He's done a great job again, really sort of summarising, giving everybody, all the fans, up-to-date information on the state of Inquisition and everything else. So, big thanks to him. Okay, so let's get started. First up was a update from Bioware's friends at DICE. There's a new update, or several updates, to Frostbite, the game engine that's powering Inquisition. Lots of new updates that everyone seemed to be really enthusiastic and very pleased about. That will make the game look and play even better than they planned. I mean, just as an example, these screens, taken from the demo way back last year, I think it's a very long time ago now actually, at PAX Prime last August. I mean, this looks pretty nice, right? I mean, it's going to look even better than this, and going from that to here, screens from the latest Discover the Dragon Age trailer, released a couple of weeks back. I mean, it's going to look, this looks nice, it's going to look even better than this. So that's something really to look forward to, just from a visual perspective. So after that, we move on to hubs. Hubs being, according to Cameron, castles and other bases that the Inquisition owns. Now, of course, we haven't seen from a gameplay perspective how this works yet, apart from obviously the little sort of tidbits in the demo where you can see some of the instruction sort of screens, loading screens, where it's showing you numbers of agents, whether you can send and manage them, send them to different places, and they take over the keeps or the castles, for example, or the bases, or you can maybe, if it's a larger one, mix the two up, so you have your army and yourself and your party as well. So say you have a choice, do you want to take this, do you want your agents to do it, do you want your army to do it, or do you want to make sure you take it and then maybe you get some bonuses, maybe, I don't know. Any one of those would be really good to really sort of have sort of a army sort of base management. And then moving on from that, great elements to be able to customize a main castle. You have a main castle in Inquisition, which basically is going to be the equivalent of, say, your main sort of safe house base in sort of Grand Theft Auto, for example, or main sort of mansions, houses, like the Hearthfire mansions in Skyrim or something similar. Now there's huge options here, and obviously he just said seeing your options. Obviously they haven't detailed that yet, that'll presumably come at a later date. There are also things from, your rooms to interior decoration to, I don't know, some things that be able to give you stat boosts. Maybe you could build like a training room or something like that. All sorts of ideas there. That sounds really good, adding to the customization aspect. And obviously you see there's a couple of examples here. These are just the keeps, they're not your castle. These are examples of different elements for your keeps as well. There's 3 types. Military, commerce, and espionage, I think, are the 3 from these 3 options. So yeah, huge amounts of customization there, just being able to sort of build an organization, build an army, build a force that's going to find the villain of the piece, really. Okay, so there's keeps, there's castles. Another element on the amount of ambient behavior. to you, the player, and the environment as well. So I'm guessing also going back to the World trailer, this post here from Cameron Lee, the blog post on the Bioware blog, where he talks about an emergent system. So the world reacts to you, and also different events as well. I'm guessing as the sort of the war progresses, different factions will obviously react differently. They may get displaced, they may try and resist, that sort of thing. Which is also really interesting, obviously building on the element of really creating a living, breathing, reactionary game world. Okay, so there's sort of the three earlier elements, and this next tweet up here I want to bring out and focus from the list of points that Cameron put on Twitter. New RPG elements. Now, there's 4 things there that are really, really interesting. First up is weight capacity. Now, there was, I think, a screen shown in the PAX demo where there was a weight count, a weight limit of 100, 150, something like that. Now, there was some sort of element of that back in Dragon Age 2 where you had backpacks or weight packs, and you bought more of those to increase your weight limit. Kind of odd, but it worked, I guess. Now, I'm guessing this will be a much more sort of overall limit that should increase as your level goes up, similar to Elder Scrolls. Now, obviously, it won't get weighed down with potions, etc., which you can do in Skyrim, meaning that you have to manage fights and be able to react and pick your battles basically a lot better in this game, because either there are no healing potions or they're just very rare, I think. So that would be interesting. And also, if they're going to do weight management, with the amount of sort of treasure chests and barrels and things encouraging to explore, just as a side note, please don't fill them with junk and torn pants, torn trousers, whatever they were. I did end up picking up loads of those and wondering why I didn't pick them up just for a reason, just basically pick them up, select, oh, that item looks nice, and pick them up, select them all, end up full of random junk that you can't get rid of, which is really annoying. Second element, there's a level up GUI, or graphical user interface. Now, I think we, again, going back to the PAX demo, I think we briefly see this for a fraction of a second, just while they're skipping between areas. Be really interesting to see how this looks like compared to the skill trees in 2, which you can jump around, whether it's going to be more animated, whether you see like a sort of a preview, an action, sort of in-action preview for the skills, giving you a lot more elements of choice, that sort of thing. And I'm wondering how perks or talents would work as well, whether they give you perks per level maybe, or talents like that. It'd be really interesting to see how that sort of scales up and how powerful your characters can be, depending on obviously how you build your party and things like that. Third element, offhand weapons. Now, I did actually look this up just to make sure what this is. Offhand weapon. An offhand weapon is essentially where you take away a defensive aspect, say your sword and shield, to deal more damage. So that pretty much confirms dual wielding. You can have 2 weapons, or maybe if you're a mage, a sword and a staff, maybe, you don't know. This post here on the Bioware, newly called Bioware Forum, no longer the BSN, which is a really nice site actually. Post from Alan Schumacher there. You see, he did highlight the point for you. And the dual wieldings, that's another element to the combat, which is really, really good. I know a lot of people were really, really excited about that, really keen to see that in there. And it looks like they've actually answered to that and put that as an option, which is really good. Okay, last but not least, they took a run through the party select, so the party picker, before your quest or mission. You can go and mix and match your party, that sort of thing. And character generation, which is now working for all races. And another point I just want to quickly make from another question that someone asked on Twitter to Mike Laidlaw. He just wanted to make a point, and also he's done it on the forum as well in more detail, that every class and also every gender of every class can be... Sorry, let me rephrase that. Every race, every gender can be any class. Sorry, get that the right way around. apart from dwarves. So unfortunately, if you're planning to be a dwarf mage, that's not been done yet, so you can't unfortunately take that route. So you can't like give Varric a staff or crazy dual wielding spells with it enchant his longbow or something, which would be kind of cool. That may get there in the end. And also, it's really powerful and really detailed, which they really want to push as well. Another tweet from Cameron here, having a face morph system. I don't know whether that's his description of it or what they're actually calling it. Going to allow you to create radically different looks, which is really good. Now, face morphing, I think one of the most recent examples is Elder Scrolls Online has sliders for allowing you to really really radically change facial features, face shape, eye shape, whatever, that sort of thing. Now, that's really nice, but I personally would like to be able to get a look and stick with it, because I do tend to spend a silly amount of time in character creators, way more than I'd like. Really, no, that's not a criticism, it's just a thing that I do tend to spend way more time. And also something to that point from Aidan Scanlon as well, another Bioware staff member, spent ages making cheeks look nice, apparently. So if it's that detailed, it's going to be a really long intro to making your character look good. But that's always good, you want to make a lasting impression. Really nice characters, as long as they sort out the lighting as well. That's one sort of thing I'd make for point I made from Dragon Age 2. The lighting isn't that great, allowing you to have some really odd results, but we got there in the end. Okay, so that's character gen, RPG elements for the world as well. Really pushing graphical capabilities, new consoles, PCs. Also really pushing a vibrant environment. Also, it's aided to by, last but not least, by music. Now, this tweet here I want to pull up again from Cameron. His phrasing here, listening to music from two plots. Now, is that two stories? Are there, depending on what, do you get different music depending on which class you pick, which race you pick, or is there different music scaling based on, or selection based on decisions or environments or things like that? Does it react to you that way? That sounds really interesting. And also later on, a couple of days later, this nice screen grab from Mark Darrow giving you a nice preview of the music build that allows them to create really varying, vibrant music as well, based on stems. I'm guessing that means they can mix and match things and create really sweeping pieces, really, that switch between styles. I'm thinking that's what they're aiming for, which is also really nice. A nice Pro Tools screen grab there. And finally, one final thing from going back to the RPG elements, game elements, is a new, what Cameron called a fader. Now, to me, fader, similar to radar, means a mini-map, sort of what you'd like to see in sort of a first-person shooter or Grand Theft Auto, that sort of thing, the little mini-map radar in the corner to show what you're doing, where people are, that sort of thing. Now, fader, meaning, I'm guessing that means it will fade out or only appear in certain times, which would be really nice, obviously, so you don't get distracted by looking at a little radar that's flipping about in the corner of the screen, distracting. But also be able to make navigation and also fighting easier. You know, so if you see suddenly get jumped by loads of guys, get swarmed, you can see exactly where they are or where they've run off to or things like that. Now, there's another element to this. I mean, there is a sort of a, again, me going back to Elder Scrolls, apologise for that. There's sort of a scrolling 2D compass at the top of the screen. You see it in the packs demo there. You see that top of the screen? It's kind of hard to see because obviously I'm taking a screen from someone filming a screen, if that makes sense. But you see at the top of the screen there, highlight that. So yeah, so that was basically the be on and end all of the sprint review. Lots of stuff to get excited about, loads of things to get worked on, and lots of more things to really, was really building up to be a really complete package, really, of a very good game. So obviously the proof of it is in the final product, but obviously there's a lot more to get excited about. Okay, so that is it for this little update. I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.